We thought things were different now, but it really is just us against the world.
Madelyn, one of the show's most interesting relationships, I think, is between Sarah and Rafe.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously have some pretty awful moments together, and Sarah's well within her rights to hate him. But do you think there's any part of her that wants to reconcile or forgive him?
I think right now forgiveness is tough, but I do think that there is a part of her deep down, like, that does see, you know, I mean, he is ultimately her brother the same way that she looked at Ward, like that's her family. And I think she does see someone in there that is not all bad, or hopes that there is someone in there that isn't all bad. And so I think, of course, you know, with Sarah's family situation being so strained, I think, of course, she yearns, I think, for her family. But I think she also thrives and loves so deeply her newfound family.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think, I mean, in this, in season 4, we see Rafe kind of struggling with the loss of Ward. Do you think Sarah is going through the same process, or do you think she's kind of dealt with grief in a different manner as compared to her brother?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going through it in different ways. I think with Sarah, you know, she has John B. to lean on because they've both lost their dads very tragically in a very short amount of time. So I think they have each other to lean on. And I think that is probably very different to, you know, Rafe's trying to reconcile losing the family member he was closest with. So I'm sure it's quite different.
Yeah, definitely. And just speaking about Sarah and John B.'s relationship together, I think they probably have the most stable, like, domestic relationship in this show. There's moments when you guys are, like, discussing your future together. And it's
Not us.
So how has it been growing that relationship throughout these seasons with these two characters and working with Chase on that?
It's been great, honestly. I mean, as far as relationships go, ours has been the longest running. So I think it makes a lot of sense to see, you know, our relationship, at least by season 4, kind of, you know, we've been through so much. We've been through these adventures. We have been through breakups. We've fought, you know, we've made up, we've broken up. Like, you know, we've been through all of these things that do happen in relationships, and we see that ultimately what brings them back together is their love for one another. And this season, we were just really excited to see them have a little bit of that, like, that normal, like, they get to almost, like, date again. Like, we get to see that love that they had for one another in season 1 kind of back, but in a very stable environment, which is so nice to do. And, of course, it's been amazing working with Chase because I think we care so deeply about these characters and this relationship, because that's kind of besides the Pogues chemistry, that's kind of what started it all.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And then Madison, speaking about these relationships, I think Kiara's one of her most important relationships, other than with the Pogues, is with her parents. And it's been, like, kind of on the rocks since, you know, she escaped from Kitty Hawk, and there's all these things that are happening in her life. Sure. Do you think that there's a chance she'll make up with them? And also, do you think they'll ever be able to accept the Pogues, specifically JJ?
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for Kiara to make up with them. I think sending her away via kidnapping is pretty tough to forgive, especially fresh off of it. So I think that maybe this season's a little bit of loving from a distance, but I think ultimately Kiara will understand that every decision that they've made has been out of love. And I think you can only fault people so much for things like that. And I think they're her parents, and she will definitely come around and reconnect that.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a bond still there.
Totally.
I'm interested, you know, Kiara, what, like, really stands out for me in this group of people is that she has, like, a really interesting sense of justice. I think, like, even though she's, like, grown up with the Pogues, she kind of sees the injustice that they face, and she's, like, outraged by it, whereas everybody else is kind of just like, yeah, I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
Where do you think that sort of, like, sense of justice comes from for her?
Gee, I wonder. I think that's Madison in Kiara's ear a little bit. I think Kiara Kiara reminds me a lot of myself when I was young, and sometimes when you feel an injustice, as an adult you go about things a different way, but as a kid you stomp around and you are like, I think she's very passionate, like a very, very passionate person, and she really cares about humanity in a very specific way. And I love that she just always stands her ground and just she's not mad at picking a fight with like, when it's warranted. Depends on
she's always warranted. Whenever she says stuff, I'm like, yes, why is nobody putting this out?
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, someone said it earlier too, like Kiara is like the voice of the audience a lot of times.
Sure.
Like you say what we're all thinking when we watch it.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
And so I love JJ and Kiara together. I've loved watching that show, that relationship sort of grow throughout the span of this show. Could you talk about working with Rudy on that relationship, and were you surprised when this show took that direction for these characters?
I definitely wasn't surprised. I think it always made sense to me, and these characters, I feel like, mirror each other in a lot of ways. There's a lot of overlap. I think we are two characters. I think Kiara is the most similar to JJ's character in a lot of ways. And I think for me and Rudy, we both wanted it to feel lived in a different way, like how you would when you like fall for a friend, like the friendships at the forefront. And it also, our relationship and both of our characters have different relationships to physical touch and physical intimacy. We're both pretty different from the John B and Sarah's relationship, which is like more passionate, a little more loving, and I think we both are two very independent characters who love their space but love coexisting. And I think that we both understood that and what this relationship looks like for our characters together.
Well, that's amazing. I'm out of time with you guys, but I just have one very quick question. Who do you think is the worst parent in Outer Banks? Because everybody is a terrible parent. Who is the worst parent for you, and which of the Pogues would be the best parent?
Pope has the best.
Yes.
Pope has both mom and dad by a lot. Worst parent? JJ.
Yeah.
Gosh, he got the shortest end of the stick when it comes to family.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. Can't wait for everybody to see this season.
Thank you.